What's up, everybody, and welcome to this brand new spoiler review for What If Season 2, Episode 9, here on the special episode of Geek Bites, brought to you by the
Geek
Buddies.
Hey!
Yeah.
What a finale we have here. What if Strange Supreme intervened? Very simple title, but wow, what it led to here in this particular finale. Going to be interesting to talk about it with you guys, hear what you think about the plot, about the way this all went down, but so much to get into here in this one. And we're also going to stick around to the end because we're also going to talk about that special 3-minute preview they dropped, a scene from season 3 that we're going to talk about from What If Season 3. If you guys haven't seen it, we'll put the link in the description so you can watch it before you hear that part of our discussion here. But let's introduce ourselves. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies.
I am Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm a television actor and an animation writer. And after this episode, boy, do I have a whole lot of puns ready.
That's for sure. This one, once again, directed by Brian Andrews, written by Matthew Chauncey. Here, Strange Supreme enlists the help of Captain Carter to help him stop Kahhori from stopping him, feeding heroes and villains or universe killers into something called the Forge, so he can resurrect his universe and be with Christine again, or save Christine. Captain Carter joins with the Kahhori to take down Supreme, and he sacrifices himself at the last second so his universe can be reborn. But without him in it, the Watcher and Peggy take the scenic route home. And we end with the shot of the Loki world tree with the branch timelines. It's really interesting. But within the episode, we get to see Zombie Scarlet Witch, the 1602 Avengers, the Infinity Armor, Hela, Wenwu, Atarax, Searcher, Cowboy Loki, the All-Father Thor sword, Infinite Killmonger, Lord of the Rings reference, for God's sakes, and the full demonic form of Strange Supreme. So, Michael, your overall thoughts on this one. What did you think of this finale for What If Season 2?
I mean, from an animation standpoint, it was a hell of a finale. I mean, that was just like a ton of fun. You know, it's not the most involved story. It wasn't anything earth-shattering, but it was a pretty simple story. Strange is like, Peggy, I need your help. He lies to her. She finds out from Kahhori what's really going on. Good to go. And you just get like literally about 15 to 20 minutes of solid action.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I hit the sound cue button on accident. I apologize. Go ahead, Mike.
No. I saw what was happening. I was going to let that slide. I was going to let it slide.
No, if I'm at fault, I'll admit it. Go ahead.
Yeah. But just like, literally just being able to see epic Marvel action with pretty much every Marvel villain that you could think of, every Marvel artifact, Infinity Stones, Thor's hammer, Hela's helmet, like just kind of a let's let loose and have fun with absolutely everything, because we have two sort of multiversal beings that are kind of beyond any one universe. So let's really let them cut loose and see three with Kahhori, and really see what they can do. So I thought it was a ton of fun. A visual feast for the eyes, kind of Marvel What If going, hey, we saw what Sony did with Spider-Verse. Let's do kind of our version of that on a smaller scale in this in his epic Sanctorum.
Yeah, Shannon, some people I've seen online making it seem like this is their soft launch or soft attempt at a Secret Wars kind of crossover type of thing to put the idea in people's heads. And certainly me watching the episode, we'll talk about the story in a little bit, but more over it's for me, it was like a comic book lover's dream. Panels upon panels of all the different heroes and villains from different universes fighting each other, nerding out and picking out certain things and certain artifacts and certain characters that don't. I mean, we get a Hulk, some sort of Hulk strange variant, which is so interesting to see.
What did you think about? Actually, it's a Thor Hulk variant. It's
a Hulk. Okay, there goes a Thor Hulk variant. What did you think about this episode, Shannon?
I would have called it MacGuffin stuffin', because there was so much stuff in the episode. And even though it might not have been an earth-shattering story, it was a potentially universe-shattering episode. I thought it was super fun. I really, really enjoyed it. And it's definitely the type of episode that you'll be able to go back and pause and look for all the things that are popping in. I mean, again, with Peggy Carter being sort of our de facto lead of the series, with the character you all were referring to, I wasn't familiar with the name. I thought that was Dark Doctor Strange. But having those two as basically our leads of the episode, him being like a solid supporting player throughout all of this, I thought it kind of wrapped. They could conceivably end the show here. I mean, it kind of wrapped everything up really, really nicely. But I'm glad that it's not the end and that we are going to get to see more.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that season 3 sneak peek later on in this review. Michael, I'll go back to you on this. What did you think about the story here with Doctor Strange apparently consumed by his grief yet again, even though at the end of season 1, it seemed like he'd put that to bed and he was back in a good place and everyone was cool. Here he is bringing Captain Carter, think he can play on her grief to help him commit something evil against Kahhori here and satisfy his own desire to be with Christine. Did you buy this? And then by the end, all the battles here, and at the end, it's Captain Carter who is the one being good and being morally, just a morally sound person who brings out for a few seconds that hero within Strange to stop Demon Strange, in essence, from coming back and fighting all over again and sacrificing themselves to make this universe happen. Did you enjoy the story? Did you like the story? Or does it have some flaws? Or did you feel it's a little too lightweight for such a finale?
No, like I said, I think, you have to make your choice of what you want a finale to be. If you want to go really big into an epic character story and really involved and really detailed, you're probably going to sacrifice some action. And if you want to go for an all-out action finale, you probably want to have kind of a streamlined story. And they definitely were like, let's go for an action finale. And I think they totally succeeded. Yeah. That being said, I totally buy it. I mean, I think, I love that this version of Doctor Strange is consumed by losing Christine. And he is facing off against Peggy Carter, who, as we have seen multiple times in this series, loses Steve over and over and over again, but always accepts it for the greater good. And I think, Peggy's always going to do the right thing. And I think the reason I buy it with Doctor Strange is it's kind of like pick any member of the Illuminati, from the comics, not from the shitty movie. But like, Tony Stark, Stephen Strange, Henry McCoy, even Professor X, sometimes even Reed Richards. Like, there are a bunch of very, very smart dudes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that sometimes are a little too smart for their own good and think that they can do whatever they want. And Stephen Strange definitely falls into that category. So even though, yes, at the end of season 1, he learned his lesson, he's been spending a lot of time alone in that big old multiversal sanctorum that he built for himself. And he's going to get consumed with stuff. I was just rewatching Age of Ultron the other day, and it's the Tony Stark thing. Tony Stark believes that the rules don't necessarily apply to him because he's smart enough. And that's why he builds Ultron. This version of Doctor Strange is like, I get it, but now that I've understood the multiverse, you know what? I can probably bring back Christine. I'm really smart. I can do it. And that is just inherent in that. As much as Peggy or Steve will always make the sacrifice, Doctor Strange will almost always go, yeah, I'm probably smart enough to do this.
Let me ask you one more thing. Oh, no, actually, I'll swing back around and ask you. But Shannon, what did you think about the story here overall? Did it work for you? Do you think was it a bit flimsy, or did you feel that it had enough strength to carry through with all the action that was surrounding it throughout the finale?
Well, I think the strength of it really rests in the season 1 finale, because I don't think it's so much that Strange turned over a new leaf and was kind of like, all right, this is what I need to do. I think he was more resigned to his fate. That this is what happened. The Watcher's telling me I got to watch over these two, these two, two little villains who would like to take over the universe. And as he starts to collect more and more of them, like, maybe there is a way. Maybe there is a way. And I think, as Vogel already said, being by himself and taking what was basically a destroyed universe and building this palatial residence for himself, populated with all of these guys, all of these gals that could potentially help him recreate a world. For me, that makes total sense in that character. I mean, everything that even main MCU Strange has done leads us to believe that he's like, yeah, I can probably do this. Yeah. So even though, I do agree that within the confines of the episode, it may have been a little light because we were going for a lot of spectacle. I think, as you look at the series overall, I think it's a little heavier than people might realize on a first watch.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And also, they didn't make a massive deal of weaving these episodes together in this particular season, whereas last season, it seemed like slowly but surely they're putting them together. This was more alluded to. There were certain scenes, but it wasn't really made a big deal. And then, boom, we lead to this finale, and this is what the finale we get. And by the way, I can understand that. And certainly, we've seen people go a little stir crazy, being locked away for COVID. We saw how some people reacted to that.
We all lived it. We know.
Exactly. So we know how you can be a little nuts and what happens when you remove yourself from a little human connection, how you can start to see people as pawns or see things as objectives and not really fully human or fully their own species. And so you do the things that you do. And I think this is an excellent point you bring up earlier, Michael. I mean, this idea that there's quite a number of people in the Marvel Universe who are heroes, but certainly kind of break the rules when it's convenient for them because of their power or their overwhelming belief that their points of views are correct, from Tony Stark to Doctor Strange to Captain America to others to Wanda. You know, they do certain things when they have the power to violate certain ethics, morals, or codes simply because they need to have their needs satisfied or they think they're doing the right thing. And so it's a good exploration that Heroes is about decisions and choices, no matter what your motivation is. And at the end, Strange Supreme, or Dark Door Strange, certainly makes a heroic moment by stopping the demon from coming out fully again and sacrificing himself. So there is still hero. And I would argue that Strange, because let's move to this, because bringing in Captain Carter to fight Kahhori, it seemed like a misstep by Strange, because we know she's morally sound. She's not going to make these sacrifices. Certainly we have the moment where she says, I wouldn't do this for Steve, and Steve wouldn't ask me to do this. Essentially insinuating Christine wouldn't want you to do this. And her teaming up with Kahhori here against Strange. Shannon, what did you think about the Kahhori and Peggy Carter team up here against Doctor Strange, how they work together and how things progress throughout this finale?
I thought it was super solid, and I think the reason maybe Strange underestimated Peggy's resolve is because Strange never really got to know Kahhori, and I didn't really think that these two were going to hash it out and have a conversation, that Strange is going to be able to dangle this carrot of, I'm going to be able to do this and send you home. And that Peggy's just going to be kind of like of one mind. Like, I just want to get home. Having traversed so many different timelines now that she, ultimately she just wants to get home. So I thought the partnership worked really well. And, you could definitely make the argument, are there other characters that could have fulfilled that void? Yeah, maybe. But I thought in terms of this dynamic in this episode, I thought the two of them together worked excellently.
Yeah, and maybe that's why Strange brings Peggy Carter and Kahhori, because he maybe knows way in the back of his mind, even though he's taken over by the demon, that these two people could possibly stop him from doing what he's doing. You can read that into it. I'm not saying it is there, but you could. Mike, what do you think of this team up? What do you think of how they used Kahhori here and how they work together, her and Peggy, to lead to the finale where they take out Strange Supreme?
Well, I think to Doctor Strange's defense, anytime we've seen two dude heroes in the Marvel universe have a misunderstanding, whether that be Thor and Iron Man in Avengers or Bucky and T'Challa in Civil War, they fight for a really long time before they actually have a conversation and figure things out. Dudes are gonna dude. So I think in Doctor Strange, like all he really needed was a little bit of bait to like lure Kahhori out, and then he could pull her back in. I think he was like, look, they're probably gonna fight for like at least a few minutes, and then they're not gonna talk. He wasn't counting on it. And this is actually built for the little bit that we know about Kahhori. When she showed up in Spain and went to Queen Isabella, she was like, we should work together. We should be at peace. Like, she didn't come in all hot. And so she fights with Peggy Carter, and they have a little bit of a tussle, and then she grabs that shield and she's like, I'm not your enemy. What did he say to you? Like, she cuts right to the meat of it. She's not like, who are you? Are you working for him? There's 1,000 different ways that scene can go where there's like the bigger misunderstanding, and Strange could have slipped right in, but Kahhori did what we already know. I do have a question about Kahhori, and I want to get your guys' take on this. Are her and her tribe immortal?
Yes.
I feels like they are.
Right, because when we go to their world, we're well past 19. We're past World War I.
Yes.
World War II.
Yeah.
World War II. Sorry, World War II. We're past World War II, and Red Skull has won. So she's been that for like, that's just who her and her tribe are kind of immortal because of the Space Stone.
Right, because the Taric is the same, right? And they were saying. And they were saying when they in that episode that they are timeless and that they will live forever at this age. They seem to imply that they are immortal in the episode.
So I was wondering. I thought that was only like when they were in
the sky
place. Clearly, I was wrong, but like I was like, it took me a minute. I was like, oh, okay. I actually really want to know more about their world and how everything happened, which I guess is a good thing. But to answer your question, I think that's where I feel like it worked, because I think Peggy Carter being who she is and Kahhori being who she is, I love that they just got to the meat of it right away, and they're like, oh yeah, game recognized game. We're good people.
Yeah, I enjoyed their team up. I thought DEVERY JACOBS and HAYLEY ATWELL did a nice job going back and forth. Again, I don't know if they're in the same booth or recording separately. Both things can happen. But I liked their chemistry here with each other and the way they played off of each other, worked with each other, called out each other's moments. Hey, do this, you do this, I'll do this. They had nice chemistry in the battle, which I think worked. And you got to have that. It's only a half an hour episode. You can't extend it out longer than that. So I liked that. But I will bring up something to ask you guys, and I might get in trouble for this, but if you're looking at it from a Kahhori point of view, if you're looking at it from a person who's indigenous, you're seeing Kahhori helping the white woman achieve power, helping the white woman achieve this thing. And so instead of her coming to the forefront, she's helping Captain Carter here succeed and fight and go. So I'm just saying from a certain point of view, you could see it that way. Do you think that's a bit of a detriment to this finale, or do you think that's kind of a nonsense argument to make? Because I did see some people making that on social media.
It seemed like it was a shared goal from my point of view.
Well, Captain Carter gets the stones, Captain Carter gets the death helmet, Captain Carter gets the Asgard sword, the All-Father sword or whatever. So she gets the bigger weapons, but
I mean, Kahhori got Mjolnir.
Kahhori's got the 10 rings and Mjolnir.
So yeah. So I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying I could see that point of view if I do not agree with it.
I mean, look, I could be obtuse about it, but you are not wrong. Like, there was a point in the episode where I was like, I mean, Peggy Carter's definitely the lead here, and Kahhori is like, working to the side and doing the stuff. But I do think by the end of it, they balance it out. There's probably a couple moments, if you were going to be very hypersensitive to that, there's probably a couple moments right there in the middle. I mean, it's an easy thing for Peggy to say, this would get very talky, but after Killmonger, it's like, well, who should get the stones? And Kahhori can be like, I'm basically made of an Infinity Stone. Why don't you take these? It's probably going to keep you safe. Like, there's little ways that you could have really mitigated it, but there was a point in the middle where I was like, but to Shannon's point, by the end, it really was a team up. I mean, I don't think that Kahhori, you can argue that Kahhori was helping Peggy beat Strange, but you can also say that Peggy was fighting Strange so that Kahhori could portal everybody home.
That's
and
true.
Once they divvied out the weapons at the end, sure, Peggy had Hela's helmet, Peggy had a lot of stuff, but Kahhori was kicking ass with those 10 rings. I mean, I think they did even them out. It wasn't like if Peggy had the hammer, the helmet, the 10 rings, the Infinity Stones, and Kahhori was like, what else can I get you? Sure. But they really did even it out there by the end.
Or if it was Peggy constantly saving her, I think that would have been a bad move as well. So yeah, it's a good point. So just wanted to bring that up for a quick discussion. All right, so Shannon, go back to you. Action sequences and cameos. Anything stood out to you in terms of the battle sequences, the way it was choreographed, seeing all these quote-unquote universe killers and heroes battling each other? Anything strike you as a comic book nerd fan, and anything strike you or stand out to you in terms of the battle sequences and the fights?
So love that Rocket showed up, albeit for a very brief moment. I'm glad that we got a Rocket cameo. I mean, by the end, when Peggy does have that sword and she's going up against Demon Strange, that's literally a knight fighting a dragon, which I thought was a really nice visual. And I'm glad that Hela showed up. And that when she's being sucked in and she throws the crown and says, "Give him hell," what I really wanted her to say was, "Give him hell, Mitt." Because I felt like it was right. It was right there.
No,
and they didn't do it. I'm in my head canon. That is what she said, but she had been taken out at that point. I will not apologize.
Okay. Michael, what's that to you in terms of the cameos and the fight sequences?
I don't know. It's going to take me a minute to get past that. What really stood out to me is, so when you're doing CG animation and you're doing a big animation sequence, there's two things. Like we talked about this a little bit the other day. One is assets, like just having characters, like who can you use? Now they very smartly with this, aside from a couple exceptions, reused everything they could. Like they just went into the banks of seasons 1 and season 2 and said, who's already built? Throw them in there to give us as much as possible, and then have a few kind of unique cameos like Thulk or Cowboy Loki. But even just having that number of characters on screen in CG, like the rendering time alone, like it's a big undertaking. Like this was a very, very big episode. And so I thought just from a technical standpoint, it was really impressive. Like they were really like, let's just fucking go for broke. I thought the cameos were all super fun. Like I said, it was very Spider-Verse to me. It was like, said, oh, there's a cowboy Loki. Oh, there's a Hulk Thor. There's this and that. And I thought it was really fun, but also I liked sort of it wasn't just a free-for-all mess for 20 minutes.
Right.
Like you had sort of the big antechamber when Peggy freed everybody. You got to see a bunch of stuff going on and it was chaos. Yeah. They sort of got out. Okay, whew, we got out of there. Oh no, it's the zombies from season 1. It's Wanda. Right. You had a little Wanda versus Kahhori thing going on. Then you get Hela coming in. You get Surtur coming in. Like it's sort of built. And then it was Thanos. And then it was Killmonger. And then it was this. And so there really did feel like there was that rising action to it. And then I thought at the end, the moment where all of the, universe killers and heroes who were all falling to their doom kind of recognized what was going on and threw their weapons to Peggy and Kahhori as the one. Like great. That was a very satisfying moment. I was like, okay, that's awesome. And it's like, nothing is ever going to quite beat Cap picking up Thor's hammer in Endgame. Like it's kind of one of the all-time great moments of the MCU, but this was on a smaller scale. Kind of that same thing. Like Kahhori got that hammer, and I'm like, yep, she's worthy. Like it's just like seeing all of those things come together. You're like, okay, that's pretty fucking awesome. And I will say, Peggy Carter grabbing all of the Infinity Stones in one hand and going full Infinity Punch was pretty fucking great. Infinity Punch is my new favorite move.
And grabbing Shannon's heart by saying, fits like a glove. Yeah, and there you go. That worked. That sure worked as well. Now, I really listen. To me, there are certain things that when you really take advantage of animation, I am 100%, 1,000% on board. And I thought the fight sequences here were incredible. I was pausing almost every few seconds to see who I'm seeing here. We got Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive was in this thing. We got a Skrull in this thing. Evil Howard the Duck was in one of those containers. So there was a lot here that I really enjoyed. And then when we got to Zombie Scarlet Witch, I was like, hell yes, let's have this. Because that Zombies series is supposedly still coming. We'll see if it happens. And then, as you said, Michael, which I thought was really smart, it was video gaming. You're essentially leveling up. Every level, there's a new villain. Okay, here we go. Thanos. We've been teasing Thanos. Guess what? Trick. It's Ultimate Killmonger. And then just her, like, slapping him, snapping him out, and putting. And guess what? It doesn't destroy him. He just becomes Killmonger again. And so he keeps fighting. So I thought and using the dragon from Shang-Chi, all those things worked really well in keeping you excited and interested in what was going on. And then we get to the final battle. I thought the final battle worked so well. And you were right. The way, first of all, I was thinking to myself, geez, somebody's got to say something, being yanked up and down like this.
Oh my God, it was like riding Guardians Breakout at California Adventure. It was like, Jesus Christ. They're going up and down and up and down.
And Hela was the one that was like, come on. You heard her say, like, come on, like kind of start to say this stuff. But then her throwing the helmet was something I did not anticipate at all. Genius. What a great situation. See them all throwing the weapons. Makes sense. How are you going to beat someone like this who's maybe thought out all the 14 million ways you can win this battle? Oh, throw this, which he did not expect. And then having in the end, a nice allusion to Lord of the Rings where Surtur and Gandalf falling down. It was essentially him battling his demons. And of course, a message, battling your demons, that thing of overkill. You can still be heroic, even though you have demons, even though you have things that can consume you. You can still be heroic. There is a chance to step out of those demons or fight those demons and win. And so I thought that was a nice little kind of subtle message there at the end with what it was. So, and speaking of the end, Michael, I go back to you on this. What did you think of this ending, man? The life tree from season 2, Watcher essentially saying, hey, do you want to be my partner? It seems like he's maybe inferring here. Will we get Peggy and the Watcher now partnering, walking through season 3? I don't know. What did you think of this ending?
I don't know. Maybe we will. I mean, maybe Peggy is going to take the roundabout way. It'll drive some people crazy on the internet, but maybe Peggy's going to take the roundabout way and become more of just a multiversal traveler on her way back to hang out with Natasha and go on their road trip to find Steve. But I dug it. I also... And not for nothing, one of the big things as we've been talking for the past several months about what's been going wrong with Marvel is that interconnectedness isn't there. Now, I don't think that this all of a sudden means that the Watcher and Peggy and Loki, the god of all time, are going to team up for anything. Yeah. But just seeing them walk to the tree that we just saw at the end of Loki season 2, I was like, this is the Marvel I love. This is the Marvel that's firing on all cylinders. They looked at the calendar. They said, this is when Loki ends. This is when it ends. This should be the last shot. This tree is important. And, and this is a dangerous thing from a storytelling standpoint, but it's also kind of fun. Like, I love that just like in the Marvel comics, or after years and years of stories, we now have certain characters. Doctor Strange is now gone. Strange Supreme, Dark Tour Strange for Shannon. But Peggy Carter, Loki, these characters that have like been pulled out of time and have had these cosmic, multiversal, outside of the universe adventures that are now almost godlike in the way that they experience, but we've gone with them on the journey. It's just really, really fun.
Yeah. What did you think of the finale here, Shannon? What stood out to you? Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. One, I thought it was appropriate that the lights have finally gone out for Dark Door Strange.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I mean, basically seeing that tree and seeing the green light of Loki emanating from it, that does confirm that interconnected the interconnectedness of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When I was at work yesterday, I was just killing some time looking at old YouTube trailers, and one of them that popped up was Multiverse of Madness. And I was like, man, like even in the trailer, like the acknowledgement of WandaVision when she says to Strange, I was wondering when you were going to show up. And he's like, I'm not here about Westview. And it's like, God, that part you had, that part you got so right. Yeah. And, here's hoping that this little bit of a hiatus they've been able to take as a result of the strikes, that they are able to sort of realign a little bit and really focus on the things that made us love the first three phases in these next three phases.
I agree. Recapture that Marvel magic. Yeah, let's go and recapture it. I agree. I loved the ending, and I like the idea that her being a companion with the Watcher, because I love Hayley Atwell's Captain Carter. I know some people have issues with it, but I don't care. I love her as a character, and I think her and Jeffrey Wright have nice chemistry going in. So I'm excited to see them, see what they're going to do in episode 3, or season 3 rather. And speaking of season 3, Shannon, I'll go to you first on this. What a quick 3-minute sample we got here, or preview we got for season 3. This first look here, it featured Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, Ranger Morales, and Bill Foster. Bill Foster, clearly Lawrence Fishburne. Ranger Morales, I think, is America Ferrera. Red Guardian being David Harbour, and of course Sebastian Stan there is Bucky Barnes. What did you think about this little clip that we got here?
This really addressed the one critique that I had for season 2 of What If, was not using more of Phase 4. Because despite the fact that it was a little bit of a mixed bag, there are some things that really, really worked in it. I mean, I think the only Phase 4 character we got, correct me if I'm wrong, was Win Wu. So the idea that they are using Red Guardian, that there is still some great stuff on the table. We've got Yelena Belova, we've got Kate Bishop. There are characters that you can use. You got Kamala Khan. So the pairing up of the two of them, of Red Guardian and Winter Soldier, 100% makes sense in that they are both Russian assets. But then watching their approach, I mean, that Red Guardian ultimately is still always going to be a very, very funny character. And listening to David Harbour slip out of his Russian accent into this way over the top American accent, it was just really, really funny. And again, I didn't know we were getting a season 3. I thought we ended with him say, or with Peggy Carter saying, "Hey, let's take the scenic route." I'm like, that's a great, satisfying end to that series. So this was a treat to know that a 3rd season is coming.
Yeah, and this was supposedly an episode they were considering for season 2, but then didn't do it. So this is a smaller sample of it, of what's coming in season 3. What did you think of this first trailer, or first look rather, here, Michael?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I mean, first of all, we did get Melina, Rachel Weisz, as well. So we did get that character this season. Right. So we did get the Red Room, but that being said, your point is still the same. Like, I think there's a lot of fun Phase 4 stuff that we could have used. I'd love to see a What If WandaVision episode where it just kind of really focused on a different version of like that. But so I think they have a lot of opportunity. I agree with you that even though Phase 4 is very wonky and Phase 5 is wonky, there is some good stuff in there. Overall, I thought it was fun. I was. Clearly, this is something they were considering for season 2 because they had it so finished in its completion. So they were like, let's just throw that out there to remind everybody we got a season 3 coming. But I thought it was fun. And I'm like Shannon. I kind of thought maybe this was a 2 seasons and then they're moving on to other stuff. I'm happy they're continuing with it because these 9 days have been fun. They've made me sort of jazzed about Marvel a little bit. So it's a good way to end it, and a good way to end the year. Gives me a little bit of hope for the future of the MCU, and it gives me hope for the future of MCU animation, because What If, being their one animated series that they've had so far, they've really knocked it out of the park. The writers, the directors, the entire team really knows what Marvel fans enjoy. You can tell that they also are Marvel fans, and they're giving the show that little bit of extra love. So if this is a sign of what's to come from Marvel animation on Disney Plus, yay season 3, and yay for Marvel Zombies and all the other stuff they've announced that we'll see when X-Men 97. Like, I'm excited to see all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, look, I loved season 2. I really enjoyed it. I know some people I've seen online haven't felt it was as interconnected as they wanted it to be. I didn't care. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. And this season 3 trailer got me even more excited to see season 3, seeing the humor back, seeing Bill Foster back, which is great, seeing Ranger Morales moved in here. Now we've got because I imagine she's Morales' mom, so she's coming in here as being a part of this. So now you're weaving in stuff from Spider-Verse, which I think is so smart. So to me, this all was a fun kind of clip to get us excited for what was coming in season 3. So very happy with it overall. Okay, gentlemen, we got to wrap up here. Any final thoughts on the season or final thoughts on What If? I feel like, Michael, you laid yours out, and Shannon, do you have anything more you want to add?
No, just a delightful way to end the year. Something to take us from Christmas to New Year's. This was a lot of fun.
It was. And gentlemen, from my own personal point of view, this was a blast to do with you guys every day, coming in and talking about it. You guys are the animation experts. I am very much a novice, so I always appreciate and listen to you guys' analysis and points of views on all this. So it's been a blast, gentlemen. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this, because I know you both are busy men as I am. All right, well, there you go. That's our spoiler review here for season 2, episode 9 of What If. Thank you all so much for joining us on this journey. If you watched all 9 of these that we've done, or 8, I guess, because we combined a couple episodes, we appreciate you all hanging out with us and doing so. We also wish you all a very, very happy and safe New Year. Shannon, what else do we have to tell?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's at @geek_buddies, on Instagram at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung, on Instagram at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you would like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at MKToon. If you would like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is at The Rocha Says.
Mikey?
If, like Peggy Carter, you are a fan of geeky movies, then we are the place for you. And here's what you can do for us. You can smash that like button below. You can subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page. Leave your comments below. What did you think of What If Season 2? What are you hopeful for in What If Season 3? Let us know below. If you're listening to us on a podcast, leave us some comments and stars so we go up in the rankings. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
That's right. There you go. And of course, for the 3 of us, we wish you a happy New Year again. And hey, if it gets tough for you, if it gets hard for you, we know what the holidays are like. Put on the Geek Buddies. We guarantee you we'll make you smile, we'll make you laugh, and we'll take your mind off stuff. And hopefully we'll help you get through some tough periods, some tough moments. So use us as a resource, whether on podcast or here on the YouTube channel. All right, take care of yourselves. Be well, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new spoiler review episode, or just episode here of the Geek Bites from the
Geek
Buddies!